Continuing forward once again, the memory brought me to the night of that same day of my abortion procedure. I found myself in the restroom, bleeding profusely. Being as naive as I was, I had no clue as to what that even meant. I simply assumed that I would bleed to death in my parents' home and that they would be branded for life by the image of such. I felt so alone and disgusted with myself that I felt it appropriate that I be drained of blood as I was of life. The bleeding did stop, though. When it finally did, I used what little strength I had left to clean up my mess and crawl on my hands and knees up the stairs to my bedroom. My room was directly across from my parents' room, so when my voice finally did begin to surface again, it did so with loud, violent screams that I had to bury deep into my pillow so my parents wouldn't hear them. The depth of loss was infinite, and it quickly devoured any sense of hope or recovery. Much to my surprise and also fright, the next morning arrived. It brought with it the first new day of me having to learn to live with what I did. I assumed the worst was over, but my assumption was shattered when I ended up back in the restroom, bleeding once again. Just as the night before, I attempted to clean away the bloody mess left behind so no one would see. When I pushed the handle down to flush away the evidence of my distress, my eyes caught sight of something that sent chilling crawls down my spine. My body dropped as it threw itself over that bowl, and my hands, they frantically scrambled to try and save what was in it. The horror of that moment intensified, when what I was trying to save slipped through my fingers and drained away. There I was, on my knees, hovering over that bowl, with my hands and forearms dripping with blood, trying to comprehend the nightmare that I was waiting to wake up from. I felt so alone, so betrayed, and so deceived. I was told that there was only tissue to be removed by the abortion, that it wasn't a person or a life. I was told that it was nothing. But let me tell you, what slipped through my fingers was definitely something. It was more than something. It was someone. It was the ravaged little body of my Jeremiah. It was my son. So with all that said, what really was born in place of my baby was a newfound ritual of existence. That ritual included the abusing of alcohol and drugs, of self-mutilation through cutting and beating, of self-destructive bouts of anger, rage, and self-hatred, all of which led to suicide, becoming the shadow of every other thought that I had. When my body climbed off that procedure table, my self did not. My true self, my spirit, was dead. My body of flesh then became a walking tomb, a grave, for both my child's spirit and my own. I stepped into self-condemnation that day and remained there for 22 years until I no longer possessed the strength to carry the weight of my death. Although God has since resurrected me from that death, it does still hurt, like hell sometimes, and that wound can still swallow me whole at any given time. But it also reminds me of my weakness and my need to call upon God for guidance every second of every hour of every day. So, my very hard lesson learned too late is this. By my consenting to the destruction of my child's conception, I also unknowingly consented to the very destruction of my whole self. I regrettably learned that abortion is murder, suicide.